And we are back. This is Ted Hicks from Late Night Parents. Ways to follow the show, latenightparents.com. Across from me is Richie V.
Teddy Ted.
What's up, man?
Long time no see.
I know. What's going on? It's been forever.
You know, wow, things are good.
And we do this with the best engineer on this side of Merrick, Brian Graves. Well, you know, because, you know, you got so many different people that are always so vague, kind of like, hey, I want to give a shout out to you and yours. You know who you are.
Know who you are.
You know who you are. You're like, come on, man. You know, when you say this side of America, you're like, okay, that could be me.
That might be.
That might be, you know. Then again, there might be another Brian on this side of America that's like, hey, guys, thanks for the shout outs.
Merrick Road, Merrick Avenue.
Richie V, as always, give a shout out to Global Community Radio, WRAQ 92.7, and of course 1240 AM WGBB, the hometown. Also with a big shout out to the Underground out there in Kansas City, Missouri.
Haven't shouted them out in a while.
I know. Stuff just kind of slips our mind sometimes because we just kind of just jump into a conversation and just like
start rambling as we tend to do.
Yeah, you know, and every now and then I'll get a text message, a rogue text message. Hey, you don't ever shout us out.
I will shout you out.
I will shout you out. I'm like, I'm sorry.
It's not intentional. We thank you all for listening to us and subscribing to us.
Yes.
We do care.
I mean, you do make a difference. So, with that, our level of appreciation, during our previous hour, we were talking about Hurricane Michael.
Hurricane Michael, Mexico Beach, disaster zone.
Panama City, Florida.
Disaster zone.
Dude.
You know, hold on. Keep talking.
I just, when you say keep talking, I just get to the point when I'm watching stuff on TV and it's showing the total area just decimated.
Looking at those photos, what it really reminded me of, going there kind of, but it reminded me of.
Don't say it.
No. I don't think it's going to be what you think it might be.
Okay.
Seeing photos of like Hiroshima and Nagasaki when they dropped the bombs.
Okay.
And wooden structures totally decimated.
Yes.
Basically, all you saw is what's left of the frame, if there was a foundation, and all the dirt and sand around it. That's what Mexico Beach looks like in many, many areas. It's, you know, people just seem to forget the strength of a hurricane. And 150 miles an hour wind with rain and high tide and everything that it can bring and did bring, it's pure destruction. So, you know, we are thinking about the folks down there, everyone who is surviving, trying to find food, shelter. We're thinking of you and hope that you can survive and get through this.
Yeah. I read something today that touched me because you had some of the residents that were still there.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, one of the first things they you know, one of the ladies that was being interviewed, she was like, where the F is FEMA?
Again, I think it seems like caught them totally by surprise.
Okay.
You know, I mean, things, unfortunately, even though FEMA is supposed to be ready to respond at a near moment's notice, and, you know, the news was reporting this was coming.
Right. For about a week?
I guess it did seem like it's about a week.
Yeah. At least 4 or 5 days. So, Federal Emergency Management Agency. So, aren't they like rapid response? Like, they're like the boots on the ground?
They're the boots. Well, they're managing the boots on the ground.
They're managing the boots on the ground.
Yeah, so the emergency services in the areas all could be parts of FEMA.
Okay.
But like you're thinking, you know, they're the ones that will guide the setup of emergency housing, getting water, getting supplies, But then again, you look at like groups like the Red Cross.
Right.
They do so much of that too.
Yes.
Or they almost seem, in some ways, to take that initial first hours. Let's get some help in there.
I'm just thinking FEMA because of, my initial introduction to FEMA was Mike Brown and of Katrina.
Yeah, Katrina. Yeah.
And you're like, where's the help?
Yeah.
And remember, we had that the mayor of New Orleans?
Yes.
Ray
Nagin.
Nagin.
Right, yes.
And he was like,
where are they?
Where are they? And that's the thing you start, you initially think. Because it is managed by the government.
Right. Yes. By the government. Everything seems to take time.
Yeah, it's true.
The government.
It's true. It's true. You got to get all the boxes have to be checked off.
Yep.
And you're going back and forth, and
you got to get planes. You have to get the supplies because it's a lot of it is perishable items, so you can't just leave them sitting around.
Okay.
You've got to, but you're thinking, we knew this was coming for at least a week.
Right.
So maybe 3 days before it's going to hit landfall, and maybe they did all this. So, we don't know. But still, it takes time to get it from point A to point B and then get it into the disaster zone.
Okay, so tell me this. We've seen, since we've been doing this show, here at the station, we've seen Florida, we've seen Texas, we've seen Florida again, remnants of Virginia or Georgia.
Oh yeah, some of that. Yes,
stuff like that.
Yeah,
and of course we saw Puerto Rico.
Yes,
which was a major disaster.
Right.
And it still is a disaster.
Totally. We could have a whole nother show just.
That is a whole nother show. Because I remember I was coming back from a game and I believe you and Jesse were talking, and it was like the response
or the lack of,
right.
Right.
But Houston, when I go back to Houston, you know what I think of? I think of J.J. Watt. I think of
why
Houston Texans.
Yep.
Outside linebacker J.J. Watt,
Yep.
because he raised all that money for the people in Texas. That he raised through crowdsourcing $55 million.
That the government didn't have to do.
That the government didn't have to do. So here's a football player. Absolving FEMA of
their responsibility, of their obligations.
Right, of their obligations. And I don't know. So the story that I read, I believe it was on CBS News that I was watching. Their OTT service. It was a couple of women that were interviewed, and the one woman said, "Where's FEMA? Where's the help? This place is totally destroyed.
Right. It's gone.
It's gone."
Yeah.
And a couple of trucks arrived of private residents, private citizens, coming with, perishables,
right,
on their trucks to give to the people. That were like, hey, we know you guys
need it.
You guys really need it here. Yeah. Here you go. Filling up their own personal trucks. People, another gentleman who owns a restaurant was, making food and stuff like that. That's when you really see the best of people.
Sure.
But you kind of go back to, and I hate to browbeat this, that you're like, where was FEMA?
Right, and where are they? I mean, I haven't been watching the news too much the last couple of days, but my question would be, where are they now?
That is the one job, Rich, I would not want.
Director of FEMA?
The administrator of FEMA.
Yeah. It's a no-win situation.
No.
I mean, unless you have an unlimited budget.
Right.
So that you can be, ready for something in pick a quarter of the country and be able to mass and assemble and group within a day.
Because it's isn't it all about speed, response time?
Response time. You and I sitting here say that makes sense to me, right?
Right.
And it is the United States. You mentioned Puerto Rico and the situation there. No pass given, but no one expected the damage to be to the extent it was in Puerto Rico.
Correct.
To the point where, okay, we can't even get to some people
Right.
for weeks because of the roads. Having said that, though, flip it to what we have right now in Florida, and I mean, come on, you can get a helicopter anywhere.
You can get a helicopter
And
anywhere.
it's not like you're getting up into the mountains or
Right.
anything like that.
Right.
You're on a well-known beach with access, with U.S. highways, with everything else. Within a day, you should have had major amounts of resources there. Now, granted, as far as the waters were still a factor.
Okay.
Because right after the storm came through, we did have the surge. You had the flooding. You can't get any vehicles in then.
Okay.
And then you're still in life rescue mode. For all those people who said no, I'm going to stay and stick it out. And you and I have talked about it many times.
We have.
And sure
I have my
enough,
eyes closed right now.
Yeah, close them.
Because,
there's, I was watching one gentleman, being interviewed, and he says, so I had my wife and daughter on the top floor of the house.
No.
And I saw this come in,
No.
and I drove my car and parked it right in front of the house. And I went inside, and then the water started coming in, and then the water got to the top of the stairs at the top of the house. And I'm like, oh, man, we can't get out. We're stuck. Now, thank goodness, it sounded like they all survived. Obviously,
Right.
he was there, so he survived, and it wasn't, it didn't seem like a morning situation. But how quickly could that have turned?
Very quickly.
After they said, get out. And an end out of the gentleman's mouth was, I didn't think it was going to be that bad.
Yeah. That's a likely story. I mean, like I said, you have health issues,
Sure.
then that's one thing.
Right. If you physically can't get out.
Right. Or you don't have the resources.
Right.
To
But
get
they'll
out.
get you out.
They'll get you out.
They'll get you out.
If you say, I want to get out, like if law enforcement knocks on your door,
Right.
boom, 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 boom.
Right.
Okay, you got to leave.
They're there with the Humvees. They
Right.
pack your bag,
Let's go.
pick it up, let's go.
Let's go.
And you're out.
Right.
And they give you that warning. The second time they come through, because there's always a second time,
Yeah.
this is your last chance. We're not coming back.
Right.
It's on you at that point.
Yeah.
But it always will be on the first responders and the rescuers, because they still have to go back there and try to save you. That's their job.
I know.
And that's what they're going to do.
But at the same point, when you're in the eye of the storm and you're on your cell phone and it has one bar left,
Right. And that bar goes down.
and you're calling for help,
Right. And it's not going to be able to come because now the storm just took down the antenna.
right?
There is no cell tower, and you've got nothing.
We've done at least, I know for this station alone, at least 5 shows talking about this topic.
Yes. Yeah, we have. We have.
Probably our most talked about topic, because we get stuck on the fact of we're on the highland.
Yes.
We're in Northeast.
We're Northeast.
We're like, okay, that's a totally different type of world.
But not really,
Okay.
because we're on Long Island
Okay.
and the Fire Island area, the dunes. Every storm,
Right.
what do we hear? Tell the people that live in the dunes area, evacuate.
Mm-hmm.
And the storm comes through. A few houses end up in the ocean.
Yes.
They send the Army Corps of Engineers back out. They dredge. They rebuild. They dump some more sand. And every time it happens. Now, we also, after Hurricane Sandy, we got a lot of people who are still recovering from that.
6 years
rebuilding
later.
homes. Yeah, that's crazy. But then again, it seems like a lot of that is less government fault and a lot of
The homeowners?
contractors. The contractors who they were hiring, defaulting, things like that. So now they're in the middle of constructions, or in some cases, that does sound like FEMA just took a long time to pay out for whatever reason it may be. But yeah, you still have stories, people just getting homes rebuilt, just getting them up on stilts.
There would be no me having my home rebuilt on stilts.
No,
I'm gone.
I'm moving 10 miles inland.
I'm gone.
Living next to the beach is not that important to me.
I'm sorry. I'm gone.
Yes.
I really am gone. It's I just ugh.
But some people love it. So I guess, if you want to live on the beach all your life, that's what you'd like. And quote unquote once in a lifetime storms never happened before. Might not happen again for 20 more years, 25 more years. Will it happen again? Yeah. But I'm with you. No level of stilts.
No.
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 I happened once. No thanks.
I think about the people who like live on Long Beach or something like that, and I'm like, nah, no
right
thanks.
There, storm comes through, and
Right.
you never know. Flooding way back on was it Lombardo Road?
Right.
Water back there. It's a quarter mile in.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's something.
But for those who are listening and you're listening to this near the time of the storm, if you'd like to donate, go to the Red Cross. I think that's always the safest, best place to donate.
Yes.
It's reputable. You can be comfortable that the money is going to go towards the right thing.
The funding will be dispersed in the appropriate manner and not to, disperse to a fund, to a fund, and next thing you know, 10% of it actually goes to where it needs to go, and the other 80 plus to salaries and all that other type of stuff. That's not the case with the Red Cross.
Redcross.org.
Right. This is Late Night Parents. Ways to follow the show is latenightparents.com. Want to give a big shout out to Zed Day. He's B-baller who's going to be joining us probably in studio in a couple of weeks. He attends the Long Island Lutheran High School.
Okay.
Otherwise known as LuHi.
LuHi. Who do I know?
Everyone knows someone
who's
from
gone to LuHi.
Who's gone to LuHi.
Future in-law's nephew.
Goes
to LuHi.
I don't know your take on this, but I'm gonna give the name of Timothy Lohman.
No bells rung.
But the bell is rung when I say Tamir Rice.
Of course.
Timothy Lohman is the officer that shot Tamir Rice, who was just hired again to be a police officer.
By what district?
It's out in Cleveland. They said the police chief who hired Mr. Lohman said he was never charged. It's over and done with. He deserves a second chance.
Well, I think, as we're both looking up news here, I believe he quit in the Ohio Police Department days after being hired.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Being reported by NBC News. Give the news stations their prompts. The Cleveland officer who fatally shot 12-year-old Tamir Rice 4 years ago backed out of a part-time job with another Ohio Police Department days after he was hired. And he backed out himself, it sounds like.
Okay.
And that was confirmed by the police chief.
Yeah, because it was going to be hell to pay.
Yeah. It's like, come on.
It's going to be hell to pay there.
Dude, you're not getting back into law enforcement. And you shouldn't be. So let's just call that what it is.
I mean, my goodness. I don't know. Ugh. Scary. I just wanted to touch upon that because I said, well, wait a minute. Really?
Right.
Come on. Big shout out to Full Sail University. It's building the largest on-campus collegiate esports arena in the U.S. You tell me esports isn't real.
Oh, I'm not going to say that at all.
Esports is money. It's big money.
I was not going to say that at all.
$1 billion in revenue.
A couple of the boys' friends who are actively getting involved in esports. One of them is starting has a league in play.
Oh, okay.
And again, future in-laws, one of their kids, he's also got a league that's been active, and he's got sponsorship and has been at a number of the events. And there's big money there now, and it really has been for years. For years, it's just really hitting the States now.
Well, when you see the Golden State Warriors and Cleveland Cavaliers and the Lakers
sponsoring an esports team,
with their name,
yes.
I mean, you kind of know that the NBA is a little bit ahead of the curve on a lot,
right? They've got to be,
But yeah, it's to a point where Full Sail is going to have its, as esports just spreads everywhere.
Why not?
I mean, you can turn on TNT. You can turn on NBC Sports Network, and you'll see, or ESPN,
Right.
you'll see something related to esports.
Yes.
I attended an event, I'm going to say about 6 or 7 months ago, esports event. It was at the Sony PlayStation Theater, Midtown. Went there, decent crowd. I came a little late to the event because actually I had to work.
Okay.
We do work during the daytime. But, yeah, it was just overall, the revenue of esports and how its tentacles are just everywhere.
Getting into everything everywhere.
I mean, and you think, it was so funny because my son turned on the TV and he said, Dad, come here. And I'm like, what's up? What are we looking at? You looking at a video?
Yeah.
And he was like, because, these TVs nowadays have YouTube built into them and everything else built in.
Yep.
And he's like, yeah, that's my buddy Alonzo. He's streaming right now. And I'm like,
Twitch?
On Twitch.
Yep.
And I was like, he has 7,000 people watching this stream.
Yes.
Rich, I really think we need to divert our resources.
Oh, we can do a Twitch stream. Sure we can.
I mean, so I'm sitting here saying, wait a minute. So this kid who's friends with my son, who's 11 years old, has 7,000 people watching his stream right now.
Yes. What game was it?
Fortnite.
Yes.
It's the killer game.
It is.
So I just said, oh my goodness. And so my son said, give me your phone, Dad.
Uh-oh.
And I'm not sure what he did, but he also logged into the stream and was talking to his friends.
Yes.
And it was appearing on the TV. And I was just like, I was like, okay, I'm sold.
Right. Okay.
Twitch
is pretty good. I've been using it for years.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I thought it was really, really cool. I said, oh my goodness. But it's, dude, it's almost Halloween.
Well, the temperatures here, what are we, about 25 degrees cooler today than we were 2 days ago?
I know.
So, I mean, I'm good with Halloween being here. I'm not good with already seeing Christmas decorations and items.
I was going to say that to you. I was going
to say good with that.
We're already talking about Christmas and Halloween didn't happen yet.
Right. Don't forget Thanksgiving, too.
Right. But you go into the mall and Christmas stuff is already up.
It's already up.
And I don't know if I can deal with that.
I'm not ready for it.
I mean, we're going to have to deal with it because no one's going to wait for us because it's all about money, money, money. And the commercialization of Christmas. We talk about the commercialization of Christmas and the commercialization of a lot of things.
Of a lot of things. And speaking of commercialization of Christmas, slight segue, Toys R Us.
Toys R Us.
Maybe back.
You were saying that last week.
Yes, maybe back. But also, Sears, may be gone.
Sears.
That's a killer right there.
That's 100,000 jobs.
Yeah.
That's 100,000 jobs.
How does Sears go out? You can be sure if they don't already exist, there'll be college courses on the failure of a company like that.
Is it a failure of a company like that? Another thing we've talked about, and I feel like for years, because when we were just doing a podcast, was the death of the malls.
Yes.
We've talked about that.
We've talked about that for years.
For years, of the brick and mortar stores. Of going and saying, okay, I'm going to go. You remember when you were younger, you said, hey, I'm going to go hang out in the mall.
Right. But that's just it. It was a hangout spot.
Right.
And to it, but there was not necessarily any money being spent. It was just a hangout spot.
It was just a hangout spot.
And I think that still happens.
Really?
Yeah. Not as much. But it's still, because I do actually patrol the mall on occasion.
I don't make me say it. I was going to say mall cop.
Mall cop. It's all right. You can say it. We say hi to the mall cop. You still have youth in there, meeting each other, going to get something to eat, hanging out and all that. But you're right. And I think it might also be different levels of different malls. So what you get at like Walt Whitman Mall
Right.
might be a little different than say out at Green Acres Mall. All right, because there are just different levels to the stores, so you'll have different kids hanging out.
Sure.
Nothing wrong, but you're just gonna have a different level.
Yeah.
But to your point, still though, the changes in malls and brick and mortar shopping and purchasing,
Yes.
all the large retailers just have to. This is a 5-year-old statement, but all those retailers have to keep up or change with the times or decide what they're going to do.
Or die.
Which, and then, of course, in that same breath, almost, you want to say, well, why is Amazon trying to open brick and mortar shops?
Right.
Which, I went shopping in one on Friday.
What is the angle of that? It's items that you would... Is it like they're hot items, or is it just like a quick item that you would pick up? Like,
well,
what do you find in there?
So, and actually, I was not in the hot item store. The
Okay.
4 stars are only.
Yeah, the 4 stars.
Yeah,
that's
I was
what
not
it
in
is.
there. I was walking. I had to buy a gift for someone.
Okay.
Last minute.
Amazon Books?
for a party. I went to the Amazon Books on 34th Street.
Okay, gotcha.
I decided, what am I going to get this guy? Get him an Alexa.
Oh,
So
okay.
that was it. So I walked in there, and of course, it's Alexa's. It's going there.
And there's like no workers, you and other shoppers, and like maybe one physical person.
No, that
was an
workers.
employee.
It didn't take long at all to find an employee. They had an information desk, which also doubled, I think, as cashier.
Okay.
So I got a person right away who they didn't have any more of the Alexa in the color I wanted on the floor, who immediately picked up her device and said, "So and so, I need a black Alexa. The order's coming through." Tapped a few buttons. A minute and a half later, it was hand delivered by another person. It was at the cashier's desk.
They do it the best.
They do it the best.
That's why stores like Amazon and, of course, any Apple store you go to in America
Right.
is jam-packed. There's some type of training exercise going on.
Yes.
And it's just like, hey.
And you're making an appointment for 3 weeks from now so
Yes.
that you can look at the battery in your iDevice.
Yes.
That's the one I don't get. And maybe not 3 weeks. Okay. That was a little off. I did get the, can you come back tomorrow a couple of times.
Okay.
But then it's, we'll make an appointment, see you in a few hours, go shop.
But think about it. Sears, Kmart,
JCPenney.
JCPenney.
Big names.
These stores are not adjusting.
Yeah, and now they realize it too late, which is probably all it comes down to. They all
How long
realize
have we
it
been
too late.
hearing? How long have we been hearing, Rich? Oh, Sears is closing another 90 stores.
Right.
Click on this link to see if your store
is one.
Yeah.
Not the business major, but I always thought that was just a recipe for disaster for any company anyway. Because all you're doing when you close stores, granted, you're lessening your expenses,
Right.
but you're also lessening your exposure for sales.
Correct.
And that's where your money is. So if your brick and mortar is only doing 50% of the business it could, and you shut it down, now it's doing nothing.
What does that mean for Craftsman's Tools? Which I'm sure is a marketable
They got
portion.
sold.
They got sold.
They got sold, and it was only like a couple of months ago. I don't remember to whom though.
Makes sense.
I could look that up.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that's the big brand. Take that, and that's how you get influx of cash.
Right.
But then you've got no more cash after that.
No more cash.
Unless you've worked a deal that, okay, so now instead of us keeping the money, we have to give you X% of anything off a Craftsman tool sale.
So when you need a refrigerator every 20 years, where are we going to go? To the web?
I guess so. No. What's going to happen is your refrigerator is going to contact you or the vendor automatically and say,
Yes.
my condenser is dying.
Yes.
It's not a replaceable part. Ship a new fridge out here.
Right.
It's going to do it automatically.
That's what it is. That's what it is. It's crazy about Sears.
Yeah,
I mean,
Sears
but
going down is big.
we've been watching it die for 5 years.
Yes, we have.
You remember, I remember the automotive section.
Yep.
I remember the Sears locations where it was kind of like, what do you call
Not the
it?
refurbs. Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah, you could say like the outlet.
The outlets. The
where
Sears
you can
outlets,
go to
yes.
like on
Hempstead Turnpike had one, didn't it?
Hempstead Turnpike, Hillside Avenue.
Hillside Avenue.
You know, where you can go and you can say, okay, like I said, Craftsman Tools.
Yep. If somebody had bought one and came back, or it came in with a little chip of paint missing off the front.
Right.
All right, there's your deal.
Right.
It's basically new and it's out of the box.
This stuff is just dwindling and just dying in front of our very eyes.
And parts.
And parts.
So it's great to go there for, I need a part for whatever.
For whatever.
Go pick it up. There
Right.
it is. Done. All that changes.
So you're telling me it's just going to be just Amazon for everything? I mean, for the most part now, it already is. But
Right. Best Buy has still got to be a big player. They've positioned themselves a lot for appliances and obviously electronics. They're there. And they might cross the middle a little bit because they are a big online player as well.
Okay. So they get it. Or they had someone to direct them for the vision to say, hey, you guys need to be working on this.
Maybe.
I still get stuck on anytime you deal with any of these places, from 5 or 10 years ago, and you order an item, and it takes them a week to get it to you.
Right. There's the failure
You've
point.
lost.
There is the failure point.
And you
that's
didn't address
purely
it.
logistics.
Right.
There's no excuse for that these days.
No.
Yeah. Do you say, all right, you guys should have learned and let like a UPS manage all of that for you, like UPS used to advertise that they would do, and did for Amazon,
right?
Or were they just the companies that said, "Oh, we'll do it all ourselves, and we'll spend that buck." And people don't mind waiting an extra couple of days. Yeah, people do. Once the option is there, people mind waiting that extra couple of days. What are you gonna do there?
I don't know. It's. Whew. You got that. Man, we got Halloween around the corner.
Do you know what the kids are going to be going out as? Are they going to be going out?
They hit that point where either parties they're going to as parties, or just nothing at all.
Okay.
Good. Kind of, think about the safety tips for Halloween.
Some of these we could just run off the top of our heads.
Right.
Most of it is common sense.
Yes.
Okay, let's just start ranting on safety tip number 1. What do you put? And this does not necessarily mean in significance, importance order. Right. This is just what we can think of off the top of our heads.
Maybe if you are taking your child trick-or-treating, you take them in an area or a block or a location that your neighbors, people that you're familiar with, or whether it's it's a party or your local church or youth group or school or somewhere where you can see, where you can at least feel that, hey, I'm not sure that my kid is not getting the apple or whatever, the Snickers bar with the razor blade in it.
Right. So that would lead to what I would say is one of the items. Whatever candy, food, a substance item, wrapped, sealed, inspect the seal. That's the first and easiest way to protect your children from someone who is out there trying to do something malicious. No open candies. I would never do the apple or fruit or anything like that. It's just too simple to act upon those in a malicious way. Like you said, parents going out there, if you want to let your kids do the trick-or-treat thing, and they're the smaller ones, of course, it's the common sense. Either you're walking with them down the block, and sure, get to the front of the door in your neighborhood, let them run up the sidewalk, or run up the walkway, ring the bell, do the trick-or-treat thing. Let them be kids, but keep them in sight. It's common sense here. This is unfortunately the time when those who do think they want to try to do something wrong will do the snatch and grab or attempt to snatch and grab.
You gotta be patient. You gotta be safe.
You gotta be safe. Bright colors, lights.
Right.
Let's not wear the all dark outfit with the black sneakers running in the middle of the street. Let's just not do that. But yeah, that too.
And even after you get the candy and you've checked it and it's back home, don't let your kid just go bananas. Come
mouthfuls
on.
And mouthfuls of Tootsie Rolls. and red hots, and they don't sleep for 2 days.
No. I mean, oh my goodness. It's one of those things where we go from Halloween to Thanksgiving to Christmas, and the weather is going to drop like 40 degrees.
Feels like it has the last couple of days.
40, maybe 50 degrees. I felt that way on, was it Friday? I thought it dropped.
It did?
Yeah, I think on Friday it dropped a bit. And I was like, oh.
That's when that pressure system behind the storm came through.
Yes.
Got
That's
all
what
that
it was.
rain, and then here
That's
it
what
came,
it was.
And yep, it was a lot colder.
Are you interested in getting verified on Instagram? Are you interested in getting verified on, just in social media as a whole?
I probably would do it for my Twitter account.
Okay.
Only because that's the one that we use here for
Right.
the podcast and everything.
Right.
So sure, it legitimize it a little more. Honestly, Instagram, I use it so infrequently, I don't care.
You Snapchat?
Even less.
I don't even have a Snapchat account.
I don't post hardly anything on there. I'll follow just to see what's going on. There's a couple of social media outlets that post on Snap a lot, so I'll jump on there. I kind of see its purpose somewhat. But, yeah, verified on Snap is like, why?
So, I'm a little, I have a question or two. So, there was a Facebook breach.
Yes.
But then there was another Facebook breach? Was there like two different breaches? Or is this
they mentioned two different numbers. Didn't the first breach mention like 50 million? And then the second breach mentioned like 30 million?
Right.
So
is that the same?
I don't know. I got to do some research. I think we're talking two.
I think we're
breaches.
talking two.
And, they're being adamant that at no point was anyone's data ever. There's no evidence that anyone's data was ever compromised, but that that it had been noticed and observed, and they were aware of the possibility.
That's crazy.
Well, you could also, because of things like that, start playing taps.
That's true.
Google Plus
is gone
as of next year.
Oh, okay. Next year.
Next year is when it gets shut down.
I heard there was a breach, and I don't know. Someone was slow to mention something publicly.
Slow to mention something publicly, and there's another potential breach there.
Ugh.
Same thing. They're not saying that anyone was compromised, but the ability was there. And I guess it just comes down to they're like, well, you know what? It's not worth it for us to put the energy in.
It's not worth it. We're going to just kill it.
Just kill it. Right.
And it's so funny that Alphabet or Google can say that, and that's that.
And you know why Google can say that? Because the only purpose in it anyway is to gather data, and they gathered all the data regardless. So now they're like, all right, we can find another method to obtain that data.
So I'm wondering, is the CEO of Google going to have to go to testify in front of Congress?
That's a good question. I mean, it does sound like they're being open about it. They didn't hold on to the information. They're being clear. But that's a good question. Maybe there'll be some round table. Get them all the Facebook. Get the CEOs of all of the major social media companies together for a round table.
It should be more than often that the CEO should be around. It shouldn't just be, hey, Trump is doing something and he's calling, all the CEOs. Well, I kind of feel that the CEOs, the big ones, the big 4 or 5 companies, they do get together.
They probably do. I'm just not aware of it. I mean,
right.
That's like an assumption you would want to make, right?
Right.
They're always thinking, all right, what are we going to do here? How are we going to handle this? At that level, it's not a matter of trying to hide information from each other, but they actually, they need to share somewhat information or strategies, thoughts on how to protect their data and our data.
Right.
Because they're all in the same boat. They're all not, they're one big hack away from serious trouble.
But you know who seems so self-righteous at times? Tim Cook. He just seems so self-righteous. He's just like, I'm not sure why they are managing your data a certain way. We don't need it like this. We don't do it that way. We don't need it.
We don't hold your data. No, we're not doing anything with your data. Yeah, okay. But, Apple's purpose is not data. And I'm kind of surprised we never saw an Apple social media product.
They got gobs of money. They don't know what to do. They want a streaming service. They've got the Apple Music. They've got the Apple TV. It's not working like the way they want it to work. And they're kind of like, okay, what do we do?
Right.
Okay, let's put the Amazon app on Apple TV, and let's do this. But it's kind of, I guess we're waiting on Apple to make, because they're like, we're throwing $1 billion into original content, but how is that content going to be delivered?
Right. Don't put it behind an Apple paywall.
Yeah.
But that's what they would do.
Yeah, we want to squeeze some more money from you guys. But I think it has to be some type of Netflix-like tool,
right?
That could be, if it's a website or whatever, so that you can see this content, because it's more than just music.
So what you say? Turn Apple TV into an Apple Roku?
Potentially.
And then they create and develop their own programming,
right?
Which means they'd have to get the programming. They'd have to get the publishers, the directors, the production companies.
Right.
Or create their own, start throwing money there. Or find a way to just make money inside of one of the other independent. Find a Roku method. It can't be part of Facebook TV, obviously, or YouTube TV.
Right. Because do you listen to Beats One Radio?
Nope. It's part of Apple Music.
Right.
Don't have Apple Music.
Okay, I'm going to say this, and I hate to say this, but I actually like it.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it.
I like it. Now, I can't tell you the last time I listened to it.
Fair enough.
Because I listened to it for specific, not their live format, more like their archive format.
Okay.
So, if I want to see or listen to an episode of The Pharmacy with Dr. Dre or something like that, I can go pull it.
Okay.
Or, if for some unknown reason I want to listen to Drake's bi-weekly show. Which,
he has one?
Yeah. Like all the superstars have
their own
bi-weekly show
on Apple Music.
On Apple Music.
That you can only get via Apple Music.
That you can only get via Apple Music. Exclusive.
Sure. There's nothing wrong with that. But
I guess.
For me, there'll be no one I want to hear enough that I'm going to give Apple money monthly for it.
Right.
I'm sorry. That's all there is to it.
But is it to the point where if you're not Apple, that means that you're Spotify subscriber?
Correct.
Right.
Exactly. Which I'm not right now.
Oh, okay.
Actually, for any of the music services, I'm not a paid subscriber. I was a Spotify paid subscriber for a while.
Okay.
But just was like, well, I'm not listening to it enough to really justify it. And it wasn't that it was all that expensive. But
I just clipped my SiriusXM account.
You did?
I did.
I've been on the fence about Sirius many, many times, but because even though it's only once or twice a year that I'll drive out of state, it's worth it for those drives.
Right.
One station or my Sirius favorites, I'll know I'll be able to listen to them wherever I am.
I have the internet subscription, and then also the radio subscription, and I just clipped both of them.
Yeah, I never that always kind of pissed me off. It's like, all right, come on, guys.
Right.
I'm paying to have it in my car.
Right.
I should be able to go to the website and listen to it.
You should. And the internet subscription is like $40 for the year.
Not crazy. Not a crazy amount.
Not a crazy amount.
But still.
Yeah, I agree with you. I kind of.
Come on now. I'm not asking for like on another device to carry around. You want to charge me for that? Fine. But to go to your website, sign in with my account, I should be able to listen to anything. Just saying, Sirius. I know you're all listening to us. So, just saying, your business model could change a little bit there, kind of like what OnStar did.
Right.
OnStar learned that's like, you know what? We give it to them, and when they buy a new car, they get it for, I think it was a year, and then we cut them off and give them nothing.
Right.
So we got that blue button sitting there, which can do nothing for them, and there's no incentive to ever up the subscription again. So at least they did the right thing, and if you had a car that was younger than a certain age, they'll turn it on for you, and they're giving us, I think it was 3 years. So it might be up soon. I got to see what they do, but at least you can. You can hit the button, use your phone through the OnStar system. You can get the monthly service updates.
Okay.
You can unlock your car.
Okay.
Basic controls you can get, which doesn't cost them a thing. The infrastructure's all there.
Right.
Instead of turning it off. So I could still, and that way they keep the advertising out. You subscribe to this, but you can upgrade to this. I could, but that's okay. Though I will say, yes, plugging OnStar, their navigation service was nice.
Okay.
It's nice to have it come up in the displays in the car, like, everything else. Very convenient. But
I think probably in March I'm due to hand back the lease.
Have you decided?
No, I haven't. So we're getting towards that time. But I would like a car that has that Android Play or Apple Play. I guess to sync better with your phone and everything else like that.
Right.
So I mean, of course, I'm going to get a car that I want to drive, but if it has that in there,
That's
that
a plus.
feature, then that's a plus.
So it sounds like what you really want to do is contact some of the PR folks for the big auto manufacturers.
Right.
So tell them, look, hey, on a podcast, really seriously looking at a vehicle now.
Yeah.
What are my options?
What do we want to do? It's kind of stuff like that. Want to give a big shout out to two MMA fighters. James Koz. James Kozwowski.
All right. What was this one?
He's an MMA fighter. Interviewed him a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
Great young man. Currently unsigned. Not signed to Bellator or UFC. But his buddy, Mike Kimbel, big shout out to him. He had a fight on Friday night, Bellator 207. His fight televised. His fight lasted a total of 6 seconds.
I hope he was the victor in this exchange.
He was the victor.
Knockout's got to be.
Total knockout.
That's one heck of a submission.
Total knockout. Bell rang. He just came out swinging.
Right.
Clipped the guy. Guy was out.
Out cold.
Match over 6 seconds.
I got to see if I can find it.
Yeah, Mike Kimbel. He's another good guy. He's also going to be in the queue to sit and talk with us. Next week, I'm going to Jets and Vikings. And Vikings.
This is your annual.
Oh no, it's
football excursion.
Yeah, but it's actually here. I'm going to MetLife. Go to MetLife. So potentially no live show.
That's okay.
Potentially, but 2 hours of content.
And it was done in pre-pro.
In pre-pro. 2 55-minute sessions will probably be sent to Mr. Graves.
Well, and that reminds me, so the end of the month, I will not be here.
Okay.
I guess that's the 27th.
Okay.
Out in Texas. With
nice.
The middle son, looking at the new home that they just purchased.
Okay.
Hanging out with the in-laws.
Okay.
So I'll be out of town for like a few days that weekend.
So wait, the in-laws live in Texas also?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good.
Yes, they have family up here as well.
Oh, okay, cool.
But they all live down there in Texas.
right around birthday time.
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
there you go. You thought we would forget.
Oh, we snuck that one in.
Yeah.
Yep. So it should be a good
That's
weekend.
good. That's good. So that's kind of. Hey, wanted to get serious. One last serious topic.
Go ahead.
Hillary Clinton was interviewed today.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. They were asking her about, today's climate, the political climate, and, Kavanaugh and everything like that. And they wanted to know, this type of behavior and sexual assault. And they said, it all started with your husband. Because, Bill and Hill are going to be having a book tour. I mean, a speaking tour.
I never had relations with that woman.
But I'm wondering, does it mean, is this a litmus test for her to see if she can run again? Why now? Why do the speaking tour now?
I hope not. Well, you do the speaking tour now because forget whether or not she is viable as a presidential candidate. She will still motivate the Democrats for the midterm elections.
Okay.
So get her out there now, drum up those votes, keep the party excited, so that those who are now up for election or re-election don't fall victim to the same things that happened to her.
Okay.
Some apathy, voter apathy, things like that. Even though I can't see how, again, anyone in the Democratic Party could be apathetic this time around right now, given the current climate or anything.
Mm-mm.
If you don't have incentive to vote now, you never will. But that would be a good reason to get her out there, because she's still going to pull those in her party who care. She'll get their votes. And I guess you put him out there too. Is it not going to hurt? He's Mr. Charisma,
right?
No matter what, he's polarizing. They're both polarizing.
They're
in their
both
own ways.
polarizing. They referenced Bill Clinton and Kavanaugh together, and her response was, "No, two different situations."
Yeah, that's true.
They said number one. She said number one, Lewinsky. No, they asked her about abuse of power.
Okay.
Did he abuse power? She said no, because Lewinsky was an adult. And then she quickly pivoted.
Right. She's not going to want to maintain that conversation.
She quickly pivoted to
I'll give her that one though.
Trump.
Given the situations. Yeah, she was granted she might have been starry-eyed because it's the president.
Right.
But she was an adult.
Ah.
She was an adult. They're both. Kavanaugh, I think, would be more guilty than Clinton in that situation.
I don't want to talk about Kanye in the White House.
Dude, what's up with your boy?
Poster child for needing some type of help.
So here's the question: do you think it's all a publicity stunt, or rather, not even a stunt? Do you think it's all a planned publicity move, or do you really think he's going bat crazy? I had to edit myself there.
That boy got some problems.
Yeah.
I think it's the latter.
Yeah.
I think it's the latter.
I don't think it's too far from the latter, even though, of course, his wife's mother is the queen of publicity moves.
Yes.
That's how she got her, gets her family the notarization that they have for doing absolutely nothing.
Well, I mean, on the PM podcast, I will tell you that the mother has done nothing but pimp the daughters.
I'm not saying that's wrong. Absolutely,
and that's a clean way of me saying that.
And then the daughters have learned to continue to pimp themselves.
Right.
Absolutely.
Totally. And it's only something you can just shake your head and it's like, I'm not sure if I...
While they take the millions to the bank.
Right. Hey, Walking Dead, I watched last week's episode.
Good
Had
episode.
no idea what was going on.
Right.
Rick Grimes and the final episodes, and pretty solid.
Good episode.
Pretty solid.
What happened to the person that it happened to? He deserved every moment of that.
Right.
No spoilers. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I always have a DVR anyway, so
I've got 8 seasons to catch up on.
Dude, it's a shame that you. In some ways, I say don't watch.
Really? Don't watch now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Seeing that one is fine. Doesn't give any. I mean, you learn some things.
Yeah.
But you're already looking at like faces that you're watching from the old seasons, and you're like, "Where's that person? Where's that person?"
I still want to know the last thing. Last thing.
No problem.
For me is, when will the timelines meet up, or are they on the same timelines of Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead?
I haven't been watching Fear, but I know that what's his name is there.
Morgan,
thank you. Which means the timelines have to be at the same place right now. Now, granted, I mean, they've got to be pretty close, because from the end of last season to the first episode this season of Walking Dead, some time has expired.
I heard 18 months.
It seems like it might be about that, right. So
18 months.
that puts that another year and a half ahead. But again, Morgan walked across the country.
Right. He walked across the country. So the only thing I will say before we close is, at some point they said people that were on The Walking Dead will show up
in Fear.
In Fear.
Some more.
I'll leave it at that.
We'll have to see when that happens. Everyone, have a great week. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.